Okay, so today I want to take you on a brief little farm walk to show you what it looks like here at the kind of early mid-November as the garden is giving it its last final hurrah and all the trees are dropping their leaves, the last little bits of color for the season, and the garden really is going to sleep. So we are cleaning up the farm, putting things to bed, but I wanted to show you what we're not cleaning up. Okay, so this is one of our 2 crabapple alleys, and this is a variety of crabapples called Evereste, and it makes just an abundance of beautiful fruit that's actually quite tasty. And you can see as the fruit is ripening, we've gotten a freeze, some of these little apples are starting to rot and burst open and kind of decay and break apart, but there are little nibble marks from all of the songbirds who have been feasting on these. So we have hundreds and hundreds of crabapples planted around the farm, and partly because I love them, but mostly because the blossoms support the pollinators in the spring and the fruit supports the wildlife in the fall and the winter. So we have Everest is one of my favorite varieties because it is so prolific, but we have lots and lots of different varieties all over the farm. And you can see here all of the little birds have started having a snack on these guys. And as they're letting go of their fruit, down here on the ground, they're also dropping. And so the squirrels and the mice and the bunnies and whoever else wants to eat them has easy access. Now, this is also one of the things that makes crabapples not as popular in more urban settings because they drop their fruit onto the sidewalk or a driveway and people don't like to clean up the mess. But with that mess comes the ability to sustain life. And so to me, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal because I know how many little creatures are going to be supported by that fruit through the fall and as we get into the winter. So you can see did you see all the songbirds just like flying away? There's so much life. You can hear them all chirping. It's because they have so much food. Okay, so as we're leaving Crabapple Alley, we're letting the vines stay on the, kind of growing up into the hedgerows. And now we're coming into the cutting garden. So this is a space where we do a lot of trialing. We grow lots of things for cutting. It's just this glorious space filled with roses and shrubs and perennials and all kinds of stuff. And we also grow annuals here. And you can see that we haven't cleaned up the garden for the year, and we won't until March. So we grew lots and lots of sunflowers this year, and you'll see them all over the garden as we walk around. So rather than cutting down the sunflowers because they look dead and ratty, we've actually left them in place so that the chickadees and the sparrows and the different birds can come and eat all of the leftover seeds. So you can see if you look closely that they've already been snacking on these and eaten all of the seeds that are there. So you've kind of got a built-in bird feeder if you can get over not liking the way that plants look as they're dying. Here we've got the beautiful northern sea oats, and we're going to leave those on the plant. As they fade and dry, little creatures are going to come and eat those. Let's see. We've got hollyhocks. These ones haven't been eaten yet, but we're just going to leave those big spikes all throughout the garden. They look glorious when they're covered in frost, but also they're just like a perfect little bird feeder. We've left it in place so the birds can come have a snack whenever they need. They've eaten all the seeds off of the Pye Weed already. Let's see, what else have we got out here? And then things that aren't making seed but are just gorgeous. These are Limelight Hydrangeas. And they are a beautiful green variety that turn kind of a creamy color and then eventually pink in the autumn. But I love to just leave the blooms on the plant and I don't cut them back until the spring. And so just leaving those big, dense brown heads, when they're covered in frost, there really is nothing more beautiful. And they give you this structure in the garden, this kind of wild elegance when they are covered in crystals of ice. So it's starting to try to think about the garden in a different way and kind of open your mind rather than just seeing this as brown and messy and ugly. Realize that there are probably seeds being formed. This is hiding spots and cover for wildlife, and like there's no need to clean it up right now. You can do it later after they've eaten everything. So here on the archways, we let the last of the roses, we didn't deadhead them. And because we didn't, they all made rose hips. So as these little fruit, the rose hips, they are rotting and bursting open as they freeze. now there is all of this food waiting for the songbirds to come feast on. And so remembering that you're not just the only person who is, or the only life that is enjoying the garden, that there are so many other creatures, squirrels and rabbits and birds and all the different insects and just so much life that's out here. And by leaving this mess, you're actually leaving food for them over the winter. So here's a pincushion flower, Scabiosa, I think it might have been Snow Maiden. So rather than cutting this out and cleaning it up, we are leaving the seed heads in place, because you can see there's all kinds of seed in there that I know the birds are going to want. Maybe they don't want it right now, but they're definitely going to want it as we get closer to winter, things get colder. Here we've got Scabiosa Ochroleuca. That we're going to leave all of these seed pods. And the tangle and the wildness and the mess, I mean, to me, it is so beautiful. You can see the last of our cup and saucer vine haven't been taken by the frost, which they look just so beautiful, kind of tumbling down from the archways. But we're just going to let everything be. And then rather than clean it up in the fall, probably end of February or early March, we'll come in, we'll cut everything back to the ground. So the time that we do it is when we start to see new life emerging from the ground level, new leaves starting to come up. That's when we cut everything down, take it to the compost pile, but that's after all of the seeds have been eaten and all of the creatures have gotten support. So this is a flower you might grow called, let's get a couple examples, called Astrantia. And it has these beautiful kind of star-like flowers. They don't look that beautiful now, but as they mature, they leave behind these little flower heads that are filled with seed. And you can see that already in here, the birds have come and devoured all of the seeds. And then there were seeds all over the ground and they've come and eaten those too. So there's just this whole food source, if I don't clean up my mess too soon, that I can leave behind, because all the creatures want it. And then things like other perennials, this is an Astilbe that was super beautiful in flower. Then it turned brown, didn't look like much for the rest of the season, but now it's turned to the color of a penny or that kind of copper. And it's so beautiful to me. It echoes the colors that are happening in the landscape. We've let all of the leaves fall below and we're not going to clean them up. We're just going to kind of push them back into the flower bed, because there are so many insects that are going to be hiding under that bed of leaves. And then the creatures can go in there and find insects to eat. And there's just the mess. What looks like mess to us is actually sustaining so much life. Then you can see here, whew, it's pretty slippery though. That's the one thing I would say, like, you got to watch your step because it's slippery. But you can see we planted probably 200 branching sunflowers and we've left all of them in place for the birds. Here's more Astrantia that are now just these beautiful kind of papery skeletons. But when this is covered in frost, oh look, here's a little mouse. Hey buddy. He just ran off. But we have mice, we have voles, we have toads, we have all kinds of birds, we have squirrels, we have rabbits. And sometimes they cause us trouble, definitely in the growing season, because they're going to want to munch on the crops that we're growing. But at the same time, like, that's just part of life. And we want to encourage them to be there. Like, this is their home too. It's an invitation. So by leaving, look at all these seeds, like somebody's going to eat those. When they're hungry enough, maybe they're not very good, but you know what? When you're starving, you'll eat them. But I just love how the hedges are turning gold. We also grow a lot of hydrangeas, but only the PG types, because they're such great cuts and they can be pruned down pretty heavily and don't get damaged by cold. But I love to leave all of the hydrangea flowers on the plants through the winter. And there is seriously nothing more beautiful than these covered in a thick layer of frost, because every petal and every flower head is totally exaggerated. You can see all the textures when they're covered in frost. So we'll leave those and we won't prune them probably until March. You can see we've got all the Hypericum here. This is the cut flower variety. We're leaving that. Those will get eaten eventually. Rudbeckia Triloba. This is a beautiful black-eyed Susan that's quite frost tolerant, but you can see as the flowers fade, all the petals drop and they leave behind these little cones. And then as the cones ripen, they're going to turn brown And these are filled. This bed is going to have millions, they're not coming out very easily, but there we go. There's going to be millions and millions of seeds in this row to support the life. More sunflowers, crabapples. So I just wanted to, it may not look beautiful to everyone, but I think if we can start to look through kind of a different lens and remember that we are sharing our gardens with so many other creatures and so much more life than just our own, and leave some of these plants in place and not be too hasty to clean up, not be rushing to get the mess gone and, you know, put the garden to bed, but actually leave some of this in place. When you come out here in the winter, you will hear all the little skittering feet of the birds and the mice running around, and there's so much happening. And I don't know, just kind of like relaxing about the mess a little bit and encouraging the falling apart and looking for beauty in unexpected places. I think that's really more than anything. So just wanted to give you a little tour of the garden and encourage you to maybe not clean yours up either. We'll do it in the spring together. Yeah, and there is so much beauty out here. You just got to go looking for it.